Welcome to another edition of Mark's Inspiration. Glad you could join me here today as always. And today it's a cloudy, cool, rainy day in St. Louis, Missouri today. It has rained more this year than I can ever remember in my 61 years of life. Although one year I remember back in my teens when I was riding my Harley, it seemed like it rained every day. I couldn't go anywhere without it raining. So maybe this isn't the most rain I've seen, but it's pretty damn close. So with that being said, today's topic is The Power is Within, series number, I think it's 18, but I'll have to check. What is it? Is it 18? No, 19. We are on location 360, but before we begin, hit that like button and subscribe if you haven't already, and share this with a friend if you think it will be of value to them. My intention is to put something out of value that can help you in your life, not in a life beyond and not yesterday, but today, the present moment. That is all we have, and if you take care of what baggage you have from the past and quit worrying about the future, you can live a wonderful life in this present moment, in this day. I know that seems hard to do because you think, yeah, well, I got to pay the rent, I got to pay my house payment, I got all these things in the future I have to do. And then you have all these things in the past that you've done and maybe you feel bad or feel guilty about. But my intention of writing this book was to help you to get rid of that baggage from the past and not worry about the future, but to be able to live fully in the present moment in today. So, with that being said, we will begin. And remember, stay tuned. Saturday night, 7 p.m., we have our live podcast, and we have special guests on there that will help you to understand yourself and deal with challenges and problems, situations that you have in your life. We cover a variety of topics. So be sure to join us at 7 p.m. Central Standard Time. And here we go. Location 360. We're starting at after you've finished. After you've finished, if you've been honest and thorough with the man in front of you, here we were speaking about sharing your problems, your resentments, your secrets with one other person, but someone you can trust. This relieves the burden of you having to carry all of this on your own. This is a practice they call confession in some religions, but it's practiced throughout many of the great religions for thousands of years. Very important to share your problems, your fears, your worries, your resentments, everything with one other person. A burden shared is half of the burden carried. Something like that it goes. That's not verbatim. Okay. After you've finished, if you've been honest and thorough with the man in front of you, you may feel lighter, as though each event, situation, feeling disgust has been removed from you and allowed to go its own way into the universe. You may not feel lighter. If that's the case for you, don't fret. Rome wasn't built in a day, and you're on the right path. I remember the first time I did this, I didn't feel better at all. Actually, I felt like crap because I was able to look at myself for the first time and realize how damn selfish I had been all my life. And also, I didn't list any liability. I listed only liabilities, not assets. I couldn't see anything good in myself. I had gotten so far down that I only saw the bad things that I had done, the people I had hurt, and the secrets I had carried for years, some of them for 10, 20, 30 years, and the things that people had shamed me with, maybe my parents or my grandparents. They were trying to help me to be better the only way they knew how, but I remember one time when we were kids, my cousins and I was only probably 4 years old, and we were playing doctor in the bushes, and my grandma caught us, and I felt so ashamed and embarrassed And even years later, one of my cousins brought that up at a family dinner, and I still felt ashamed about that. I hated that they brought it up. And we were just kids, but yet I carried that shame and guilt for years just about that silly little thing. We didn't hurt anybody. We were just kids playing doctor, exploring the different parts of our body. But I felt shamed about that and carried that with me for years. That affects you. It affects everything that you do in your life from that point on. Subtly, sometimes you don't even know it, but it does. Okay, Rome wasn't built in a day, and you're on the right path. It's very possible that for every piece of baggage you released, every piece you uncover, discover, and discard, that was allowed to move into position behind it, there is a layering effect to these situations, and often you can't begin to address one issue without first addressing the 2 or 3 issues that are subconsciously protecting you from it. These may be long forgotten things like a moment you had with your sibling, or even a pet running away. Getting to them and getting through them is not going to come quickly or easily. It's not a journey for snowflakes that want immediate perfection, or they'll melt into a pool of disappointment. That's a term we use now for people who are soft. Snowflakes. I think we have a lot of snowflakes here in the USA. But if you're a snowflake, don't be, disenchanted or disheartened. You can become a strong man. You can gain and build inner strength. You can do it. Life is not going to be all sunshine and roses while you're going through this process, but if you stick to it, you will experience a dimension of living that far surpasses anything you have ever experienced before. And that's not just something I'm telling you that I read or I heard about. I have experienced that. And it took me a long time to get there because I was stubborn, I was bullheaded, I didn't want to do some of these things fully. My biggest problem was surrendering to the fact that I can't see the big picture. I don't know what's going to happen in the future, and I can't change the past. I wanted to control because I had grown up in an alcoholic family, although functional. My parents worked. I felt that I had no say over anything, that nobody cared what I said, that my words were meaningless, and it was disempowering for me. So as I got older and got into relationships and into life on my own, I tried to control everything. And when things didn't go my way, I got frustrated, disappointed, disillusioned, hurt, whatever you want to call it. And then I would try to control even more. So to allow life to unfold, to not paddle upstream, so to speak. And society today will tell you that you got to go out there and you got to do the grind. Well, I guess what? If you believe that's the only way you can achieve things, then that will be that way for you. According to your belief or your faith, it is done to you. That is the way it's going to be. But you may say to me, Mark, well, I have to work hard. These guys that are successful, they work 80 hours a week. Well, I get up in the morning at 6 o'clock, sometimes earlier, sometimes a little later, and I don't go to bed till 9 or 10 at night. Maybe a half an hour, I may watch a documentary or have a little, I did watch a series here a while back. I've watched 2 series. I watched The Vikings and Ray Donovan in the last 5 or 6 years. I just don't watch much TV. That's about the only, entertainment I have. But to me, I love my work. I love what I do. I've authored 2 books. You can pick them up on Amazon. Coming Back Home, The True Adventure of Mark Daniels, and The Power Is Within, both available. Amazon Books. The point I'm making is I stay busy many hours a day. Now, some people would say that I work all the time, but it's not work to me. I enjoy it. Yes, there are some things that I don't enjoy doing so much a lot of times, but I get a fulfillment and a satisfaction out of that that I never got from anything else. I never got from drinking or drugging or women, relationships, whatever, working, because this to me isn't like work. We need to change our vocabulary. Instead of saying I have to go to work, I get to go to work. I get to take the car to the garage. I get to go shopping. This have to programs us to believe we're forced to be doing something, when actually we always have a choice. We're never forced to do anything. We may be pushed and prodded by people to do things, but we always have a choice. You can always choose. Every result I have today in my life is from a choice. Some of those choices weren't good choices. Some were better choices. Some get better as I go along and I learn from my failures. You're never going to succeed without failing. Don't wait until you're perfect before you do whatever it is you desire to do. Because if you do that, you'll never step out there. You'll never move in that direction. All right. I have traveled far down this path. I have seen many others do the same, some that I've led. I've helped people on this path, and I've always learned from that. And some I've been led by. I've suffered through many setbacks. Check out Coming Back Home for a Blow by Blow, my other book. Many times I wondered why I just was not getting it. I wanted to give up so many times. I was like, do I have to work on myself for the rest of my life? Well, that's what I felt like for many years. Although I'm still working on myself, I don't view it in that perspective anymore. I look at it as I'm growing and learning. Because with the perspective I have to work on myself the rest of my life seems like drudgery, punishment almost. But I was doing it to myself by looking at it that way. You're never going to be perfect as we perceive the word perfect being in this today's society. But as I've said before, you're perfect right now. You're exactly where you're supposed to be. And I compare it to a rose. You've heard this before if you've listened to me. Is a rose only perfect when it's fully bloomed? Or is it not perfect in the bud? Or is it not perfect after it's bloomed and withered? When is perfection? It's a process. So the whole process of growing is perfect. You are perfectly progressing in your growth. And right where you are today is exactly where you're supposed to be. Accept that and life gets easier. That doesn't mean that you have to like it, but if you accept it, it takes a hell of a burden off your shoulders. Many times I wondered why I was just not getting it. It seemed like I would make a giant leap forward only to step off the edge of the cliff and find myself battered and bruised, back at what looked like a new bottom. I've lost my houses, cars, kids, my freedom almost a few times. Well, once for one night. I spent the night in jail. But I have a clean record today. That's another miracle that's happened to me. I've wanted to give up so many times, I can't list them all, but I didn't. Rather, I haven't. If you haven't surmised it yet, this isn't a path that has an end point. No, there is no end. It goes on as long as you're living in this life and you're living an abundant, full life and you're taking chances and stepping out there. Never stop taking chances. Never stop reaching out for more of life. When you do that, you're on your way to the grave. Because once you stop growing, what is the point in being here? Okay, that's all we have time for today. Thanks for joining me. Subscribe, hit that like button, and I will see you tomorrow.